Today, we are excited to have the president of the Michigan City Economic Development Corporation to be our speaker today. And Clarence, what we're going to do is we're going to have our speaker first and then conduct our business second. That way you get a chance to come right in and get things going, okay? So I'm going to turn it over to Clarence. He needs no introduction because everybody knows who Clarence is here today as one of our longtime Rotary members.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share what the EDCMC does. Like I said, I'm the executive director for the Michigan City Economic Development Corporation, and we are our mission in Michigan City is to help create jobs and capital investment to the community, and we do that through a number of ways. And I always tell people we do everything through partnerships, whether it's public, private, nonprofit. Institutional partners. We work with a lot of people in Michigan City, in the region, in the state, across the country, across the world, because we have a broad outreach to help the local business community. And we're always trying to find ways to improve our processes, improve what we do, and bring great ideas to the table. What I'm going to show you today is our annual report. We have a great team at the EDCMC that work together with different partners, and so we every year we have to report to the city what we're doing, because the city is one of our funders. So is the casino, and also the private business community or investors, as we call them, from Michigan City, LaPorte County. And so I'm going to show you some slides of what happened in 2020. Even though it was a difficult and challenging year, we had some great numbers last year, and then talk about kind of what's happening moving forward, and then open up for questions. So I'm going to need to share my screen. So can you give me permission to share my screen so I can show my slides?
Yeah, if you go ahead and down in the bottom, you see a little thing that says share at the bottom of your screen down there.
Okay. I see a lot of stuff came up on my, do I want here? Screen one. Okay, I'm trying to, it's not as easy as Zoom, where I can just click on the.
Yeah, this allows you to do a particular individual window or your entire screen. If you want to do your entire screen, just hit it on the screen one.
There we go. Here we go. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. As we said, this is our report for last year. So, last year this is about reigniting, reimagining, reinventing in the midst of a pandemic, and how we were able to pivot and work with the community to make things happen. This sculpture was on the downtown Michigan City. We love the arts. We think arts bring great synergy to our community, public, private, and people who have great ideas that make things happen in the community, and definitely adds a new flavor to Michigan City. Art's been around for a while, but I think the last 5 to 10 years, it's really picked up. And so we are excited to see what the art community has done for Michigan City. Mentioned before, this is our annual report. Our mantra for a 5-year plan, our strategy is how do we promote economic prosperity for all in Michigan City, among everything we do. In 2019, and some of you were part of this project, we had an economic strategy put together, of which we were able to come up with 5 areas we want to focus on. Economic inclusion, and that's before people start talking about it. Last year we were already ahead of the game in 2018-19 talking about this. How do we improve our workforce? How do we attract talent to Michigan City? How do we create spaces that are beautiful in Michigan City? That's parks, neighborhoods, corridors. And how do we tell a story? How do we set a narrative for a story to make sure that we're telling our message is getting out to the right people? And economic modernization. How do we ensure our business are going to stay on pace with technology and definitely retool so they can be a success? We've had multiple companies here in Michigan City, especially in the manufacturing community, who have spent millions of dollars to retool, and we're happy when they do that, because we know that when they do that, they're increasing efficiency, saving money, and they're going to be around for a long time. So whenever we see these kind of investments in our community, we're always excited to see that happening within Michigan City. One of the big things to do is attract business to Michigan City, and we keep a running file of what people ask for when they call us. And so, 2020, we had 93 requests for information from prospective companies. I give you a 3-year running log. We have this for the last 6, 7 years in our offices. We keep track of what people ask for when they call our office for properties, whether it's land, building, or others. And that, we give the ceiling heights, the acreage, the size of the building, and we usually put together what's kind of the sweet spot for what people are looking for. So from that perspective and putting together numbers, we know the most popular size, what people are looking for when they call us, is a building roughly 76 to 100,000 square feet, 26 to 30 ceiling height, and of course 1 to 10 acres, to put a building on. So knowing that, we can give this to investors, developers who may want to build buildings for future projects in Michigan City. Some of our highlights: we worked with 15 projects last year, either new projects, project expanding, or relocating to our community. Almost 600 jobs, new jobs to our community. That's both industrial and medical were two big ones last year. And of course, hundreds of jobs that were retained that could have gone somewhere else. And almost $62 million invested in capital investment, that's building and equipment. And we assisted 121 local companies and added roughly almost 300,000 square feet, of which the biggest number there is a 200,000 square feet from the GAF project. That's a brand new building in the Woodruff Business Park. These are some of the logos of the companies that we work with that in last year, and of course, we say completed and in progress because they may have started last year. They're still under construction or doing a rehab of the current building, but these are some of the companies we work with over the last year. Business expansions, give you a little more detail of what the project involved. Hardside, also one of the food manufacturers, $30.6 million investment, 50 new jobs. Harbor Trust Financial investment firm, Viabin, or hemp manufacturer. Shady Creek, doing a great job out there with the new complex they're building to warehousing and production. And of course, Midwest Metals, which is a local manufacturer. They have to make rings for pistons and that kind of stuff here in Michigan City. Some of the new projects that are new to the city: Barrel House, that's a new event space down in the Elson Grove area. Jamesburg Trucking Company out of Michigan expanded here. JB West is a roofing company doing very well. Uptown Social, which is the old church theater building, will be a dual and piano comedy club in the future. DOP Properties just rehabbing all office space. Solar projects, rehab of projects downtown Franklin. Pace, which is a senior services company out of Indianapolis, going in the old Legacy Franciscan site. And of course, Aquagenic was a big one in November, the biomedical company. They bought the building on the Woodlands Avenue. They're doing a major rehab on that project. We're looking at 120 jobs over the next 3 years. Average wage 60 grand. So looking for a lot of people in the biochemistry, biology arena. So some of our initiatives we do every year. We have a big job fair we do every year. We are working this year with our partners, Chamber and Work One, to do April 13th, a retail job fair. I think in June we'll do the manufacturing side of the job fair. But that's something we've been doing for the past 6 years, trying to make sure we can have more people getting jobs and employers highlighting their jobs. But last year we was virtual because of what was going with the pandemic. We also work twice a year. We put together a meeting with all the commercial industrial brokers and talk about what's going on in the marketplace. One of the things we have done with Chamber, we have a COVID-19 website. So if you go on there, you'll see the Chamber helps by keeping it up to date. But it's a way for us to put strictly business information on that site, and it's still active right now. We also are trying to put together a neighborhood leadership program. Started the first class in February. Of course, the pandemic happened. We had to cancel, and so we're hoping to restart the class in 2021, fall, not 2020, because we're trying to get that going to build leadership and more awareness of what's happening with the city, but also how you can make things happen within the city. We also started It's called a supermarket initiative for food desert, but there's two areas in the Mission City classified as food desert, east side and west side, where people don't have access to fresh foods and vegetables. And so, how do we make sure that happens within the community? This year, we were very fortunate to, with Horizon Bank, Santier Bank, and Physician Alliance, to give us a gift to contract Purdue University Extension, and so we'll start that project um, this this month in terms of doing the research. Um, Incidentally, one of the good things is we are working with a current investor to do a supermarket right now on the east side in Eastgate Plaza, and so that could be open in June this year. And so we know there was a market. We didn't think it would happen this quickly. So there's some more to go on that. Um, One of the other big things, and some of you may have already participated in a survey, is we started a project last fall to identify how do we have a business co-working space technology innovation center downtown. And so we hired a consultant who's doing a study right now. And some of you may have completed a survey. If you have not, I can shoot you a link. But we're trying to figure out how to create more ideas in Michigan City and attract people within 30 or 40 miles to come here and create with those ideas and actually begin their companies here in Michigan City. And so we're working with a consultant right now to get that study done. Should be coming by end of next month. But we've also been talking to a number of the regional education institutions, Purdue, PNW, IU, and Ivy Tech. How can we partner to make this work and have that somewhere in our downtown? So more coming on that right now, but there's been a lot of support from not only the local community, business community, but also a lot of the education institutions are trying. They want to be part of this moving forward. Again, just reviewing some of our investments last year. Barrel House opened up in 2020. Bozak Honda, one of our largest projects last year. Bricks, the wine tasting bar there downtown, opened up in the middle of the pandemic and has been doing very well. We were very surprised. And of course, the Priya Properties expanded office, GF Materials, and Solaire were probably the biggest ones last year. We're currently working with a number of developers and investors in the downtown. You can probably expect about $300 million worth of projects this year. And these all started like 2 years ago. And so we're now coming to the point where we're getting drawings and the investors putting together the deals to start moving forward for TIF and / permits this year. So hopefully we'll see probably at least two large projects coming out of the ground by fall. There's one also at Arbor Point. They're doing an expansion. They're looking at roughly 200 new apartments over in South Carroll. And so that's exciting for us to see opportunities across the whole city. Some of the things we had last year were a couple site visits, because of the pandemic, we had to do it very differently. We had drones flying inside warehouses. And of course, when people visited, they stayed in their cars. We stayed in our car and we talked via the speakerphone. So that's kind of how we conducted business last year during the pandemic. But we still were actually having people actually driving here to actually look at buildings and walk through industrial space. One of the big news too was the annexation that we started 2 years ago was completed in January 31st of 2021. And so we currently have rezoned over 300 acres for manufacturing, and we're currently working through the process of getting it to be a TIF this year. We've had a number of projects called for us. We had over 21 requests last year for a large buildings over 100,000 square feet, 25, 30-foot ceiling heights. We had two last week, needed 400,000 square feet. We don't have anything that big in Michigan City. So we're trying to find ways to create the infrastructure so when we get those kind of calls for large projects, we can actually say, hey, we got the land, with the water and sewer lines in place. So we also have a local investor or developers who may want to build that building for you, or even build a spec building. So there's a lot of stuff on the table right now as we get that area in Southeast Michigan City ready for future large industrial projects and probably some e-commerce project, because we thought one of the ones that called us last month was probably an e-commerce company. They wanted 40,000 square feet, 40-foot ceiling heights, and space for over 200 cars. I'm like, wow, okay, so large project, but obviously we don't have the place to put them right now, so they may end up going somewhere else. Those of you who are in the real estate will probably recognize that we have been having a very what's it called? Very, very great market here in Michigan City or in the residential properties. They're going gangbusters over the past 3 years. You can see what the percent change in median price has been. Right now, if you ever have a house in Michigan City, it's in a great area, great neighborhood. Within a day or two, you'll get a asking price or above, and so we see that trend continuing. And so, as part of what we're doing, we're working with Unity Foundation and LaPorte County Office of Community and Development to we've all hired a consultant to come in and look at the housing demand analysis for LaPorte County, and so we're working closely with them to see what our opportunities for the future in Michigan City for single family development across the city. And so we are looking at the next step is for us is to start identifying properties that we can offer to investors who may want to build homes, single family homes in Michigan City, whether it's 30 homes, 100 homes, or where are those properties we can list and offer to those investors. Last but not least is that we work a lot with the commercial industrial brokers, and so one of the things you see here is the last 5 years of where the sales have been countywide. Of course, everything went up real high. A lot of sales in 2019 that kind of fell off in 2020 countywide. Of course, we know why, but we think the trend will begin to pick up again. I can just talk from experience. The last year, the two biggest sales in the county were in Michigan City. This year, the EDC have facilitated over 4 buildings to be sold in Michigan City, 4 industrial buildings, and we're working on one more, a very large one, right now to be sold. So in the first 4 months, we probably will see 4 or 5 buildings sold in Michigan City. So we know there's a hot market there too for commercial industrial projects right now. But when you look at the heat map for last year or the last 2 years, 3 years, the heat map shows you where all the sales activity are in the county. As you can tell, most of that is occurring in Michigan City. This is LaPorte and Westville, but this is commercial industrial market numbers. And as you can see, we have a very hot residential and commercial industrial market in Michigan City. Just from a countywide view, from 2016 to 2020, here are some of the numbers. North is essentially Michigan City. Center is, below 94 to LaPorte, and then south is South County. But as you can tell, every year, Michigan City pretty much leads the number of sales and the value of sales in LaPorte County. Last year alone, in 2020 was 75 sales, over $32 million. And so even though there's a pandemic, Michigan City did very well in the commercial industrial space. So, of course, for us, we try and track what's going on within our footprint. The 2 largest sales last year for the county were in Michigan City and Paws Road and Woodlands. And then, of course, last year, countywide, there were 12 sales the last 4 or 5 months. And if you look at the bottom, you see where the buyers are coming from out of the county. So, looking forward, we will continue to build our relationships with our key partners locally, regionally, statewide, internationally. We work with a group called Select Chicago that markets the whole Chicago region, and we try to bring in investors from across the world to Michigan City. Last year, a couple of you may have been involved. We had over 12 ambassadors from different countries, different parts of the world came to Michigan City, spent a day here just before the pandemic. Lithuania, Greece, Mexico, Germany, the UK, Italy, they all came and spent a day here. And these are people who want to learn how to do business in the United States, but also when they come to your community, they can take those ideas back to their business in their countries and to both companies and investors to learn about your community. So we were very happy that we got that kind of attention last year. Again, we're trying to build up those relationships to help promote more investment in the future. So we definitely want to continue to implement our strategic action plan. The pandemic has definitely changed the way we do business. We're trying to figure out what the new norm is. And, when the pandemic hit, we were having bi-weekly calls with the chamber, the nonprofits, the private sector, the elected officials, just to figure out how to navigate and triage COVID-19. And so that helped us know who was doing what. So because we had the hospital on the line, we had the nonprofits on the line, we have business leaders on the line, and we're all trying to figure out how to help each other to get through the pandemic as a community. We had that meeting again this morning. Usually, the last 4 months has been once a month, but it's great for us to connect once a month to make sure we're all working together to help the community to move forward. As I mentioned before, housing is a big issue for us. So we're working right now with the county and the foundation to get this housing study completed. We're also working to do the first ever countywide labor and benefit survey this summer. And so we definitely want to make sure any business HR person in the room today will fill out the survey, and we will make it available to anybody. Everybody who fills it out will be able to get a copy of the survey. And we also work with a group called Lake Lincoln CDC to do infill housing in Michigan City, because we know there's a need for workforce housing in Michigan City. Workforce development, hot topic again, funding, partnerships, job fairs, quality of life projects. Definitely trying to raise that in terms of how to attract talent here in Michigan City, both growing your local talent and attracting new talent. Hard infrastructure development, we're looking at developing 2 new business parks in the southeast part of the city, because we have to get those large projects to come to our city. If we're not ready, they won't come. So part of that is, site preparation, utility expansion. Double track, by far one of the biggest projects ever in Michigan City that will impact us for a long time. And so a lot of the things going on downtown is hinged upon the double track. And this has been going on for 15 years. People said it wouldn't happen. Well, if you look right now downtown, you see a lot of NIPSCO trucks and other utility companies pulling lines, removing lines, and doing a lot of underground work, because they're getting ready for summer, when they'll kick off the rail installation and digging up roads and all that stuff, knocking on homes to get that project started. Soft infrastructure development, we talked about entrepreneurship center, social media website for a website, working with different partners to provide loans for a community. But just a way for us to start working together. We're always working with different partners to do work in idea with childcare, helping them with grants, supporting their grant application, the food desert project we're working on, and also neighborhood development, trying to make sure we can improve our neighborhoods. Michigan City has a great asset, and that's our downtown. And I know a lot of people always complain about the kind of money the city has spent in downtown, but it is our face. Every time we have local business or business leaders visit Michigan City, we have to take them through our downtown. It is the face of the community. And so I want to highlight the fact that, sometimes we don't recognize what has happened here the past 15 years. And we've got some great natural assets in the downtown. So we're always trying to find ways to work with the city and the commission to enhance the product we have. And so I believe Michigan City has a great asset in its downtown, and it's done a lot of work to keep it going. The arts district, art space, the restaurants, the theaters, the consignment shops. It's just there's a lot happening. The churches, the museums. I mean, there's a lot that we have in our downtown that a lot of other cities would die for. And I know one other thing too was people have criticized the city for doing a lot of studies. And I think, incidentally, all these different areas we have studied to death, when we have investors, they want to see a copy of those studies, because they want to see what the city wants to do in those areas. And so that becomes kind of a benchmark for things that we have done in the past, and people want to improve upon those things. One of the great things about the downtown is the kind of way it can help you stock your build your capital stack if you're an investor. We have an opportunity zone, which is there, this boundary on the outskirts here. We have a TIF district, of course, and we're currently working to build what they call a TDD, which is this area, this line right here. This is a new area that's being designated by the state, where not only they can use the dollars from sales tax and income tax, but they can also use TIF now for help with new projects coming to those areas post double track. So that's probably in place in 2021. But again, another great tool for us to use to help attract business to our downtown. And now we're moving to Midtown, because we want to see that whole corridor also develop beside just the downtown. We're trying to expand what's going on in the Midtown area. So I foresee 2022, 3, 4, 5, you'll start seeing some projects in the Midtown area. Of course, a lot of these things would not be happening today or being planned unless it was for the double track. So this is a rendering of what was proposed to us probably 2 or 3 years ago. And so we're working with NICD and the Regional Development Authority in Valparaiso, we call them the RDA, to help get moving this plan forward. The project is fully funded, so the money is there to make this happen. Now, just so you know, we are working behind the scenes to change this, what we have here. We think it's a little too institutional, number one, and it's only 2 floors, but also we like to see probably 8 to 10 stories above at the corner of 10th and 11th and Franklin Street, because we like to see that be a multi-purpose, multi-mixed use project. And so we're working with the Federal Trade Commission to look at maybe doing some kind of mixed use project. So it's something like this, because this is what's being offered right now here in the upper right. We like to something maybe like this, or this is the whole block. Just so you know what the city is buying or has bought out for the train station. This is 11th Street. This is Franklin. So the whole block will be owned by the city for this project. And so we are under discussions right now to change this to something possible like this or possible like that. We don't know what that looks like yet, but whatever happens on that site, there has to be a 500-car parking garage on that site. That's the main reason for that site. So we have to have 500 parking spaces designated for the commuters who are riding into Chicago. So so we are looking at some point, probably next month, to do our RFQ to get a developer to do a public-private partnership to build something on this site beside the parking garage and what's been offered to us. So it'll be a key project that ties both the downtown and the midtown together and starts spurring more development in the midtown area. This is a snapshot of some of the projects in the pipeline. Probably the biggest one is the one up to number 1, which is 125 million. That's a condo and a hotel project. 7th Wabash apartment complex, 5th Pine apartments and row houses. So I can keep going down with lots of activity in the marketplace until what's been proposed downtown Michigan City. This is the train station. This is a 13 feet radius or within a 5-minute walk. And so a lot of these projects I try to get within that circle. Thank you, and I'm open for questions. Like I said, there's a lot of information out there. I'm just trying to give you a snapshot of what's going on in the community and how, there's lots of excitement here in what's going on in the city, across the whole city. I've got other maps that will show you investments across the whole city. Our current map right now has $1.8 billion over the past 10 years in Michigan City, about half public, about half private capital investment. So for a small city of 31,000 people, that's a big deal, having that kind of investment in a small town. So Jim, turn it back over to you.
Clarence, if you look in your chat, do you have your chat window open there?
Let me get off my
Screen sharing.
Trying to get off screen sharing here. So hold a second. Usually I do escape, it comes out, but
I can take you off screen sharing if you want me to.
Please do.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
And your chat box. Oh, here we go.
Should be lower right-hand corner.
Okay, how is the use of the property along US 20 near 35 going? Are you talking the area we just annexed?
Yeah, I think it's the annex area. It's where the South Shore tracks are running. It's across from the cemetery, right there.
Yes. That's the property that's being rezoned for industrial park. The areas that butts Highway 20. There's also a gas line in Trailer Creek, south of that property that's been proposed for luxury single family half-acre lots in the future, because there's a natural border, the gas line, the creek, so you can't build down that way, and so they want to propose single family out that way. Where would the east side look at grocers? The Eastgate Plaza, corner of Carroll Avenue and Michigan Boulevard. What's the tip?
Okay, I know what that is. Yeah.
The sign that says MC Grocery on that building right now, but they're going to
Right.
they're going to be going that same plaza, but at the corner.
Okay.
TIF is tax increment financing. Pretty much in a nutshell, it means when you build a project, the taxes that are currently and they are being paid to the city still goes to the city. Any new income above that goes into the TIF district, and by state law has to be spent within that district. So the city still gets the money it's been getting. It just doesn't get any of the new income on that project.
There used to be a grocery store in there before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any progress on Cleveland Avenue? Are you asking for any future buildings, or what's the question there? There's a lot.
Well, there's a lot of empty lots. You look north of 20 and south of 400 North, that little area right in there along Cleveland Avenue.
The city had proposed some work to be done on the northwest side of Cleveland, but just so you know, point of information, all the east side of Cleveland Avenue is not in the city; it's in the county, and it's owned by multiple.
Oh, is that right? Okay, I didn't know that.
In a trust. So until they want to do something, we can't really do anything with it. But just Cleveland Avenue and Highway 20 is a hot spot. That's where the new Honda dealership is going to be. And their old dealership has just been bought by Hyundai. So you probably see Hyundai moving over there at some point. And the big Chrysler, they're building a car wash on their site. So that area is having a lot of construction right now, a lot of movement in that area right now.
I guess one of the questions I had was you keep mentioning TIF. I don't know what a TIF is, or what is TIF? TIF.
Tax increment financing, and as I mentioned before, you pay property taxes into this big fund, I guess, and so when you create a TIF district, any new income above that property value is paid into that fund. Now, call it TIF fund. So the city gets the regular tax it was getting before, but anything above that this new project creates goes into this fund that's by state law has to be spent within that district. So that's what they call a TIF district and TIF funds.
Yeah, that's what happens. You don't know that much about it. So, anybody else have any questions? More questions for Clarence? Go ahead.
Not so much a question as just a comment, because I think one of the things that I mean, the amount of economic development is extraordinary, and of course, bringing in outside people and focusing on building projects and all of that. But one of the things that just impresses me so much is that the economic development under your guidance is also doing this community development work in Michigan City, where you are leading to build community leadership within the neighborhoods. And to me, that's just extraordinary. And I just applaud you for that.
Thank you, Matt. It's not easy work because it takes a long time to get that off the ground. But I'm a firm believer, as the sign says, economic prosperity for all. We got to make sure the work we do touch everybody, and so we try and find ways to make that happen. And sometimes that work is heavy lifting. It's not the easiest stuff you can do, but it takes time, it takes partnership, and it takes people who want to make things happen in the community. So we look for all partners to make that happen.
Very good. Anybody else got anything for Clarence? Tom Keene, go ahead and unmute yourself there, Tom.
Hi, Clarence. Tom Keene. Great presentation, by the way. Just a quick question. Is there any plan or anything going on with the Marquette Mall property?
Not right now. We get tons of calls for car dealerships and storage facilities. And we say no, hell no. We are working right now with the mayor's office to figure out how we can market that property. It has 3 owners that are very, who want to make something happen. And so our goal would be to see something that was put in the city's master plan 2 or 3 years ago, where it'd be kind of a mixed use project in terms of apartments or townhomes, restaurant, possibly a hotel, maybe a couple of restaurants, but something that's really going to enhance that part of the city. It has over 35,000 cars per day, so we know that it's going to be some type of retail on the outside. But there's a whole lot. It's over 40 acres, and so what part of the complex do you keep? What part do you knock down? It's going to take a massive developer with deep pockets to make that happen. One of the things the city did was to make it part of the South TIF 2 years ago. So another part of the South tip. So we know that whoever comes in is going to need some help to make that happen. And so we're looking for the right partner right now to make that happen. And on Wednesday start, it's a 5 to 6 year project. It's not going to be an overnight project.
Great, thanks, Clarence.
What's the current timeline on the double track?
Starts this summer. This summer, I'm sure you'll see the governor up here again, and the goal is to have the train leave the station, no pun intended, fall 2023 with the tracks all being put in. So they've got the bids, the water in the street, like the last 6 months. They've got the contractors lined up. So and that's where you see a lot of utility trucks in the downtown right now, because they're trying to remove lines, road lines all through that area, because when they got to have the lines out of the way so they can start digging.
Okay.
One of the frustrations, I think what you unveil to us is such an extraordinary amount of work that we feel like we're just on the cusp of this extraordinary explosion of activity that's going to take place in the next 3 to 5 years. And we're so fortunate to have you to give us this overview, because I don't think people in Michigan City have a clue as to, the bulk of our population, as to what's going to happen and what the impact's going to be. Because I think a lot of people, all they see is, we got that giant empty lot between 6th and 4th and Pine and Michigan. And, they had brought in multiple developers, and what the heck, nothing ever happened. And then we got the failed Plaza project with a big empty lot. They tore down a historic building, and now we just get another parking lot. So I think there's going to be some real eyes opened real soon as the bulldozers start moving in. And,
well, I tell people too that these things don't happen overnight. You got to have a plan. You got to work with multiple people. Sometimes the plans do fall through. That's how, even in the business world, but the stuff we do with the city is very public. So every time it falls, people throw rocks at you. But you can talk to business people. They'll do a lot of stuff that fails many times before they get the right one. So I think the city has put together a pretty good team right now, and working together. A lot of people trying to make things happen, and they learn from their mistakes. So at this point, I'm very gung ho and very bullish about Michigan City in terms of the new projects that are coming. Like I said, beside apartments, we're seeing market rate apartments, workforce type of housing apartments. We're seeing row houses, condominiums, townhouses. So we're trying to get a mix for everybody in the downtown. But besides that, we're also trying to figure out what's the next step for senior housing, whether it's villas or low rise, single. So and that's across the whole city. So
just looking into your crystal ball, we know our population in Michigan City is 30,000. 30 to 35,000 has been the population my entire lifetime, as far as I know. But I think what we're looking at is a significant population increase in the next 5 to 10 years. What
there
do you
will be.
What do you
There will
predict?
be. We're working with a group called KPMG, which is a large consulting firm internationally, but they have an office in Chicago. And they did a study for us about 4 years ago, and they're projecting 800 multifamily units in the downtown Michigan City. So we get 800 units built in the downtown. That's roughly almost 2,500 people in the downtown alone. And then, of course, you got the multifamily on Carroll Avenue. You got people now looking at single family. So I'd say in the next 10 years, I'd say we'll probably be near 40,000 or above.
Yeah, that's again, I think that's such an important point, because first of all, there's a lot of new Rotarians in that group, and we hope. But I think there's for wise political community leaders is the understanding that we need to navigate what the socio-political, economic conflicts are going to arise from that. Given our current population, particularly those who are disadvantaged and feel disadvantaged, and how we're going to effectively integrate old population with new population, so we don't end up with an us and them city. So I'm hoping that our leaders can. I hope you have the ear of some leaders, maybe not our current one, but that are wise enough to understand that there's going to be need for some real skillful leadership. And of course, some of that leadership is right here in the room with us.
Most definitely. And I mean, and that those kind of thoughts has to be community driven, to be, inclusive, both economically, racially, socially. I mean, that's everybody's on everybody's bailiwick to make that happen. Because I've learned you can't depend on other people. So if you see an issue, you got to champion it and find partners to help you champion it, because it is important.
All right, Clarence. Well, thank you very much. I am very excited about the prospects that you
Yeah.
showed us here. And I want to congratulate you as an organization for what I see as a significant increase in the investment of the building and the development of Michigan City. And I think you guys are doing a good job.
Appreciate it. We got some great partners.
Yes. Now, with that in mind, I'd like to let everybody know that we're getting a new member, Jason Boney, Dalen Boney, who's actually part of the EDC MSC, right,
Yes.
Clarence? Yes. And not only that, he used to be a Rotarian in college. So we're real excited to see him join us. He was just approved by the board yesterday.
He just
I'll be
joined
sending
our,
you.
he just joined our board too, so we're excited about that.
Very good. The other thing is, Clarence, I will be sending you a packet that has a new member certificate in it. And what I'd like you to do is present that to him as his sponsor and take a picture of it. And we'll get you
Okay.
up on the Facebook page and stuff.
Awesome.
Okay. So, and the last two things I want to mention before we go is that I'm excited about next month's program, where it's the business development program for all of our members. We're having 3 people from PNW come in and speak the first 3 meetings. We're having Debbie Tatum come in and talk about the Gallup Strengths program. And then we're having Susie Vance and another member of Toastmasters coming in and talking about how Toastmasters and Rotary can work together to help improve our business speaking. So I'm excited about that. Put the dates in your calendar. And last but not least, you will be getting a call from a board member to talk to you individually, personally, about what you think we can do better in the club, how things have been going, and what we can do to increase our participation again now that COVID hopefully is letting us come back to do some things. And we do have May targeted for some more in-face meetings, probably out of doors, but still finally getting back to our face-to-face, let's sit across a real table and talk to each other type meetings. Does anybody have any questions before we go? All right, if not, thank you for coming. Clarence, again, thank you for a great presentation. And I'll see you guys next Thursday.